Speaker. My question this morning is for the Premier. Speaker, on Friday, an Environmental Review Tribunal granted a stay of construction for the White Pines wind turbine project in Prince Edward County, an unwilling host community. Under the terms of the contract, this project has to be finished, its construction, and attached to the grid by mid-June of this year. If it isn't, WPD has defaulted on the terms of their contract, and the taxpayers can get out of it without a cost. That is, unless they get an extension that only the Minister of Energy can give them. So, Speaker, my question is, will the Minister be granting an extension to WPD, or will they have to be operational by June?
Thank you.
Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Minister of the Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, this is before the Environmental Review Tribunal right now. They have not made a ruling yet. They have issued a statement that they will be consulting with both parties to look at the consequences. We operate the ERT on the weight of convenience, Mr. Speaker, which means that they look at harm, about outcomes in making their decisions. As there can be an appeal to me and to this government, it's very important that we, as the House, protect the integrity of that process and not politicize it. So I would suggest that we allow the ERT process to proceed as an independent process, and at the right and appropriate point when appeals can happen from the ERT, but I don't think we should be commenting it on this House until that process is completed.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Mr. Speaker, back to the Premier. The people of Prince Edward County are watching this government's every move. The IESO can uphold the current terms of the contract, but if WPD wants an extension, they can only get it from the Minister of Energy. They've also, WPD, contributed $15,000 to the Ontario Liberal Party.
Yes, we know where this is going.
Most of it since the environmental review process began. Speaker, my question to the Premier is simple. Will she require that the IESO enforce the current terms of the contract, which would put WPD in default if they aren't connected by mid-June, or has WPD already bought themselves an extension?
Good question.
This is the moment in which I've alerted all members that I will be listening carefully to this, and I'm going to ask the member if the theme is there, to be very cautious of how he impugns any motive. And you will need to do some homework on that to ensure that it's not happening. Minister.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. I want to recognize that there are people here in the gallery from the Prince Edward Hastings Local Business and Tourism Board, and I want to recognize the efforts that they are taking and to work through a democratic process, Mr. Speaker, on that process, Mr. Speaker. But I also want to deal with the last point the member made. Sorry.
You're not endearing yourself by repeating what I asked not to be repeated. Carry on.
I want to make one point here, Mr. Speaker. Through this process, our job, mine and the member for Hastings Prince Edward County, is to protect the integrity of this process. And I'm very clear and have no difficulty doing that. And I find it deeply, deeply offensive that someone would suggest in a process in which politicians are not allowed to interfere in, he is actually suggesting I interfere in that process, Mr. Speaker.
The member from Prince Edward Hastings will come to order. You have one sentence wrap up, please.
So shame on him, Mr. Speaker, because it sounds like the pot is calling the kettle black here.
Shame on him.
Good question.